Alrighty, so to all the freestylers out there, courtesy of the ever-changing shoe market, we are now unfortunately at a certain stage where our favourite shoes have become absolute gold dust and are a little bit harder to come by. Some shoes will get discontinued, others will just get sold out, moving on to the next thing. For whatever reason, unfortunately, a lot of the best shoes, they don't last forever, so you have to start to explore other options and alternatives. Pure crisis when we've got people like Bruno Callas saying, urgent, I'm in need of good, lightweight freestyle shoes that are still in stock. Any recommendations? Don't worry, Bruno, we got your back. Let's take two of arguably the most popular Puma shoes for freestyle, that being the Archive Lite Mesh and the Glyde Lite Canvas, both of which you'd be incredibly lucky to find in your size nowadays in stock. But that is where the Puma Glyde Lite Leather comes into things. Too late, and I dropped it. But that is where the Puma Glyde Lite Leather comes into things. Cheers, Dad. This is the shoe that I'm going to be talking about today. It is the Puma Glyde Lite MBK Leather, this is its full name, and I'm going to be talking about why I think this one is a decent alternative to the two that I just mentioned and is pretty much a little bit of an unearthed gem. So as always, starting off with the design, I got these shoes in Puma's clever little bag at long last, and my first impression was a good one. I was really blown away by how good they actually looked. I thought the leather would be a bit ugly, but actually in terms of a colorway, it's predominantly just dark colorways for the leather ones, and I think it looks really good for a change. I think this one has a really nice blend of flamboyance with the design of the interior, but also style on the outside exterior of the shoe. We've got the Puma wave, as we like to call it, stitched onto the side, looking good. On the inside, the shoe also boasts the Puma Eco Ortholite technology. Is that even worth mentioning anymore? Is that even a thing? Or, oh, it's just a myth. What are you? So where you see this camouflage pattern on the inside of the shoe, that's actually made up of a kind of canvas material. I know what you're thinking, canvas on the inside of the shoe as opposed to the outside. Bit strange. And then on the bottom of the shoe, not only is it the same texture and pattern, but it is also the same material, and that is the EVA rubber. Exact same design on the sole as the Puma Glyde Lite Canvas, or maybe for the rest of this video I'll refer to them as the standard Glyde Lites. Now, a big factor when it comes to picking out a freestyle shoe is the weight, and holding these in my hand in comparison to a standard pair of Glyde Lites, virtually no difference whatsoever, honestly, but the difference is minimal. These certainly hold their own as still being a very lightweight shoe. Okay, a little bit of context before I talk about how these shoes actually performed for freestyle. And these first came to my attention when I saw Ibuki and other Japanese freestylers using them. I got these shoes when I came back from Super Bowl last summer. My shins were in agony and I needed a new shoe. I just felt like I wanted to try a different shoe, maybe one that was a little bit firmer and had a little bit more support. That was kind of my thinking at the time. So I used these shoes for about a good month and a half, so they are thoroughly tested. Just bear in mind that some of the footage is a bit old. Maybe check out my previous Glyde Lite review, as that goes into some of the features in a bit more detail, and there are similarities between these shoes. So my first impressions of these on my feet, definitely a very unique Puma shoe and not like any one that I had actually worn before. So as I kind of touched on earlier, due to the choice of materials in this shoe's design, I will be honest and say that there are more comfortable Puma shoes out there than these, but it certainly wasn't to a point where it really annoyed me or it was a hindrance to my freestyle at least. And generally I was pleasantly surprised at what is actually capable in the Glyde Lite leathers. So I'll start off with soles, and because these are exactly the same as the Glyde Lites in the canvas, there's virtually no difference at all. Obviously the shoes do take a little bit of wearing down and breaking in to get used to, but in terms of the surface area on the sole, it's all doable, it's all good. So as always, the big one for me is lowers, and these shoes were very unique in that sense. Honestly, the leather, it offered a kind of touch that was, dare I say, where Puma meets the futsal kind of shoes. The responsiveness was great, and when you factor in what match ball you're using as well, I'm using the Finale 7 and that hasn't got the dimples or anything, so it's quite plasticky and it's quite grippy. Overall, this combination made for a very grippy, responsive touch, and if you like that, then you'll love these shoes. This also kind of transpired into sits as well, where the touch did take a little bit of getting used to. Again, probably not my favourite Puma shoe in that regard, but still very much doable and it's a very firm touch. It's not a very cushiony touch that you might get with, say, the Brazils or the Archive Lites in the mesh. So again, I know that's all going to come down to personal preference. Now, where these shoes really earned their stripes was blocks. These shoes were superb for blocks. Best Puma shoe I've ever used for blocks, definitely. And giving credit where credit's due, I have to attribute this to the leather. In particular, things like cross catch and things like that, where you know that the shape is all the same of the Puma shoes, but just the material makes a big difference to actually just gripping the ball and having a bit of confidence that the ball isn't going to slip away while doing blocks and slaps and all those kind of tricks. So one of the things that I think makes this shoe a little bit of an unearthed gem is its durability. Now, I know on the bottom exactly the same as the Glyde Lites and stuff, so you're not really going to get much difference out of that, but it's the upper I want to focus on for durability. So after a month and a half of use, the shoes are roughed up a little bit and they are softer on the outside. They've still got all the flexibility and stuff that you would expect from them, but impressively, there's very little kind of, you know, permanent lasting damage. There's just a few creases and stuff. The thing that is most notable about these in comparison to other Puma shoes is the color. So even though the shoe, you know, gets scuffed up a lot and stuff, look at the Glyde Lite canvas, look at the Archive Lites. The color is faded from them, and everything that, you know, is remotely beautiful about its appearance is absolutely tarnished. But with these, they stay very much intact. Not only this, but I can confidently say there is very little signs whatsoever of any holes developing in the upper, which has become a very common problem for, say, the Archive Lites, which is a very popular shoe. So that's why I have reason to believe that actually this one pair of Glyde Lite leather that I purchased myself might actually do the business and last a very, very long time. But again, I know that that is subject to where you train, what surface you train on, etc, etc, etc. So if you want to get yourself a pair of these, the first thing I'll talk about is the sizing. And it's an interesting one actually. Even though these are both 7.5 UK size, the Glyde Lite canvas, they felt like they fitted a little bit better. The leather ones, they feel just a fraction longer. And at the same time, they're quite tight on the toes and around your ankle as well. And that's kind of where you feel the whole comfort thing in comparison to other Puma shoes a lot. So what I'm saying is with the Glyde Lite leathers, if you want to get them, I would go a half size, maybe even one whole size down from your original feet size. And then the other note is on the pricing. So the reason I've left this till last is because I genuinely do not know how much they are, so I'm gonna take a quick look at that now. All right, let's see what we got. Ooh, ouch. First result is 75 euros. Surely no one else apart from freestylers is buying these. Overall, to conclude, I know that these certainly are not as popular as the Archive Lite Mesh or the Glyde Lite Canvas. However, they are still around. They probably aren't going to be around for much longer, but they are in stock. And in terms of do they tick the boxes that we're looking for in a freestyle shoe, for me, yes they do. The comfort and the structure of them is it's rigid, but it's not clunky. These shoes actually have great mobility about them, surprisingly. And that's why, in my opinion, these shoes are incredibly underrated. Even though I kind of inadvertently switched back to using just the Glyde Lite canvas, I got really, really used to that touch and didn't want to go through the hassle of changing again. These are good shoes, viable alternative, and therefore they are going to get the shoes up. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. Still got a lot more shoes I need to test and review, but can't do that until my ankle gets better. But I hope you still enjoyed this one and found it informative. Subscribe if you're new, or if you're old and you still haven't got around to subscribing yet. But anyway, take care, happy days.